Bacteria, viruses, pathogens.
No. What are antigens? Antigens are proteins present on the surface of the protein, on the surface of the pathogens, right? Remember, we have learned that antigens, they are the proteins present on the surface of the pathogens. Now, in our stomach, there is protease enzyme. We have learned that or not, boys?
Yes, sir.
And we have also learned that there is HCl, hydrochloric acid, right? So that protease enzyme and hydrochloric acid, they can destroy the new you see these vaccines which are actually which contain antigens on them. So that's why the new vaccines, we administer them with injections, right? While the old vaccine, you see this vaccine for the polio, it was made in 1960s. So at that time they used to make the, and you see there are different pathogens, and there you see these vaccines are made in a different way. And so you see for the polio, they make the vaccine by inactivated polio virus. What do they do? They take the poliovirus, they heat it, it becomes killed, it becomes dead, right? So that's how they use it. All right.
Okay, sir.
Which end of chapter questions we were doing?
Sir, chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So have we finished the first question?
Yes, sir. We finished the first one, second one. We were on question 3, part A, part 3.
Okay. Now explain why the concentration of antibody molecules shown in the graph for the person S did not start to increase until 10 days after the injection. Now look here that you see after the 10th day, the antibodies they have started to increase, right? Look here, this is the concentration of antibody molecules in the blood in arbitrary units, and this is the times per day. Now, if you guys see in the person S, the antibodies they start increasing after the 10th day, and they become very high on about, you see this is like day 80, and then you see the decrease, and from day 112 they become almost constant and they do not decrease. But in person R, the antibodies they are highest in the beginning, and then they start decreasing and they totally finish at day 90. Right, boys? Now listen, boys. Now it simply tells us one thing, that the person R has received this, you see, passive immunity, and the person S has received active immunity. Now in the person S, the vaccine is injected or inoculated. Now when the vaccine is given, now you guys know that I have taught you as well, you guys have learned that in grade 7 as well, that when a pathogen enters inside the body, tell me one thing, boys. If let's suppose I'm sitting over here and a pathogen enters in my body, will I become sick right away?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, no. Why not? Because in the beginning, the number of pathogens are very low. In the beginning, the number of pathogens are very low. What will happen? First of all, these pathogens, they will increase their number in my body. First of all, what will happen? That these pathogens, they will increase their number in my body. and when they will increase their number in my body and the number will become maximum, then what will happen? Then they will produce enough toxins to cause their disease. Now, the time period when a pathogen enters into my body and then causes the disease, that time period is called as incubation period. So, guys, look here. When they entered a dead pathogen inside the body, antibody production did not start until day number 10. Now, for this pathogen, it means that for this pathogen, the incubation period is how much? It is about 10 days. Understand, everyone? Right? So, for the first 10 days, you see there is no production of the antibodies. While after that, the white blood cells they recognize the pathogen and they started producing antibodies against it, and they also started producing memory cells against it as well. Right, boys? Now, the memory cells they remember that next time, if the same pathogen will come, then they have to produce this kind of antibodies against that particular pathogen. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, boys. So, what you will tell over here that this first 10 days are the incubation period. First 10 days are the incubation period. During this 10 days, the pathogen goes unnoticed in the body by the white blood cells, and on the 10th day, the pathogen becomes noticed by the white blood cells, and then the white blood cells they start producing antibodies against it. Lymphocytes they start producing antibodies against it, and also start making the memory cells. All right, boys.
Yes, sir.
Next question. Breast milk contains antibodies which are absorbed by the baby. Now, boys, before that, I have a question. We learned this chapter. Now, right after the birth, the milk is produced from the mother's mammary glands. What is the name of that milk that contains antibodies? Who will tell me? Yes, boys. Who remembers that? That is called as colostrum. What is it called as? Colostrum. Right, boys? Understand? Now,
Yes, sir.
now what is, and you see that contains the antibodies. Now it's written, you see, breast milk contains antibodies which are absorbed by the baby. The antibodies give the baby immunity to the diseases to which the mother is immune. State the type of immunity that the baby has as a result of absorbing the mother's antibodies. Now, but let me give you one example. You see, let me explain this to you guys. I have told you this thing before as well. Now, let's suppose that 1,000 type of pathogens entered in the body of the mother throughout her life. So there will be 1,000 types of antibodies in her blood. Is it true or not, boys?
Yes.
Right? Now, when the milk will be produced inside the mother, you see, inside the mammary glands of the mother, that milk will contain all the 1,000 type of antibodies. Now, when the baby will drink the milk, what will happen that all 1,000 type of antibodies will enter into the body of the baby, and that baby will become what? Will become immune to against those 1,000 type of pathogens. But these antibodies are not made inside the baby's own body. They are not made by the white blood cells of the baby's own, or you see, of the baby's own white blood cells. So this is not active immunity. So what kind of immunity is this? Passive immunity. So what kind of immunity is this? Passive immunity. And we have learned that passive immunity only lasts for how many days?
90.
Very good, 90 days. And we can see from this graph as well, right? That the antibodies, they are finishing at day number 90. Now, boys, another question can be asked. Why these antibodies, they last for only 90 days?
Sir, because they are broken down and used up in our body.
Very good. Because they might be used up in our body. And what is the second answer? It's a 2 marks question. Second, that you see these are proteins. So they may become broken down in the body. Right, boys? So there are two options. One option is that they might get used up in the body, or second option, they might be broken down in the body. Understood, everyone?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Next question, boys. These questions are about the graph in figure 10.16 on page 136. Let's go to page 136. Right, boys? So this is the graph. Now, this is the number of cases of measles in the USA before and after the vaccination was introduced. Now, look here. This is the year when the vaccine was introduced. This is 1963, right? About 1962, right? Vaccine licensed. After that, you can see that there is sudden decrease in the number of measles in the USA, and the measles disease totally finished over here. That is 1990. Okay, boys, can you guys see? And there is no more, this measles disease does not exist anymore in the USA. Now, question number A, describe the incidence of measles cases in the USA between 1944 and 1964. Now, boys, I have taught you one thing. What? Whenever the word describe is written, so you write down whatever you observe. Now, 1944 up till 1964 till here, you have to tell that about the cases of the measles. So what you will tell that in 1944, the cases were about 600 million, 600,000, right? Then what you will tell that the cases they decreased in 1946, and they decreased up till 160,000, right? Then the cases increased again and became about 660,000 cases, right? In 1946, 44, right, boys? So this is how what you will tell. You will tell year wise that how much number of, you see, these cases are increasing every year up till 1964. Got it, boys? Now remember one thing. Whenever there is a question about, you see, these you see, like description, using of data is very, very important. Using of data is very, very important. If you do not use the data, you will lose the marks. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next question. Suggest reasons for the patterns you have described in your answer to A. Why the numbers are increasing and decreasing? Why the numbers they are increasing and decreasing? Can anyone think of any answer, boys? Please tell me.
Sir,
Yes.
from 60 onwards, like when the vaccine was licensed, the cases began dropping very quickly, as we can see on the graph.
No, no, no. You see, before 1944, 19, you see, 44 up till 1964. Because you see, whatever you have described in part A, because it's written, suggest reasons for the patterns you have described in your answer A. And in answer A, you have discussed 1944 till 1964. So why the numbers are increasing and decreasing in between 94 and 44 and 64? Yes,
Sir, because some people who get the disease, they become immune to it.
very good answer. Excellent. So what will happen that when the people they will become diseased, they will become sick with the measles, they will become immune, right? This is one reason. And they will not, if the pathogen enters in their body again, they will not pass on that pathogen to the any other person. Second,
Yes,
if
sir, it will develop herd immunity.
sorry,
It will develop herd immunity.
yes, it will develop herd immunity. Second thing, that if the mothers have or the women they had the disease, they will have the antibodies, they will pass on those antibodies to their newborn babies or their offsprings, right boys? So the newborn babies or the offsprings, they will also become immune for 90 days. Understood, everyone? So this is the reason, right? That they become immune when you see they become diseased and they do not pass on the pathogen to the next generation or the next, you see, or to the other people, and they provide a type of herd immunity. Now, even you see, if you look in case of coronavirus vaccination, the governments all around the world, they are trying to vaccinate as many as 80% people. Now, why are they trying to vaccinate as many as 80% people? Because it will create herd immunity. Now, when most of the population will be immune to the disease, then what will happen? That the pathogen, when it will enter into anyone's body, now most of the people they already have the antibodies. So what will happen? The pathogen will die inside the body of that person in which it has entered, and it will not be passed on to the next person. So rest of the 20% population, even though not vaccinated, will still be immune to it. All right? Understood, boys?
Yes, sir.
And even you see, maybe you guys have seen the news that yesterday this news was there that the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education, they have announced that all the people who you see who work in education, you see they have to get vaccinated before the start of the next year, because you see, inshallah, in the next session the schools they will be open, inshallah, inshallah. All right, boys. So they are trying to vaccinate everyone. And Saudi Arabia, you see, they are planning to vaccinate 100% of the population up in this 2021, before the end of the 2021. Next one, describe the effect of the introduction of vaccination on the number of measles cases. Now, boys, you see describe the rest of the graph. Graph after 1968, sorry, 62 up till 2004. So what you will tell that as the vaccine was introduced in 1962, right? So because of the vaccine, the immunity was developed among the people. So the number of cases they dropped drastically up till 1970. Or this is 74. This is 64. One up till 1965, 66, 67. Right? Up till 1967, the number of cases they dropped drastically, right? And only about how many? One, two, 40,000 cases are 20,000 cases are left in the United States in 1967. Right, boys? Then the cases increase a little bit. You see, in the 1900 and what is this? 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, and 70, 1970, right? In between 69 and 1970, the number of cases increased a little bit and became about, you see, 80,000. And then you see again decreased. There is a slight increase in the 1976 as well. And then you see there is a slight increase, you see, in the 1905, 6, 7, 8, 1988, and then the all the cases they become zero in the United States for the measles, right? So what has happened that the by the introduction of the vaccine, the number of cases they have decreased because it has provided the immunity, herd immunity to all the people all around the USA. Now, as you see, it is saying about the USA, but this measles disease is totally, you see, this vanished or wiped out from the whole world. And it was totally wiped out in 1990. And it all became possible because of vaccination. It all became possible because of vaccination. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Next one. Explain why the vaccination of around 90% of our population can protect 100% of the population from an infectious disease. We just discussed this, boys, that when most of the population, like 90% of the population, is vaccinated, so they will have antibodies and memory cells in them. So as most of the population is vaccinated and has immunity against the disease, so what will happen that if a pathogen will enter in their body, it will be dead, right? And it and they will not be able to pass on that pathogen to the next or the other person, and it will be giving them herd immunity. It will be providing the herd immunity. Understood, everyone? Now, next question. Copy and complete the table to indicate the type of immunity, active or passive, that is obtained by each method. First of all, having a disease and recovering from it. What type
Active.
of immunity is this? Yes?
Active.
Very good. This is active immunity. Feeding a baby on breast milk. What is this kind of immunity, boys?
Passive.
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 Very good. This is passive immunity. Being injected with the antibodies.
Passive.
Passive.
Passive immunity. Receiving a measles vaccination as a child.
Active.
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 Very good. That is active immunity. Now, receiving a measles vaccination as a child, which type of active immunity is this?
Sir, active.
Sorry?
Active.
Very good. Artificial active immunity. Right, boys? If you guys remember, we learned that active immunity is of two types. One is artificial active immunity and other is natural active immunity. Now, there nowadays you see they are vaccinating people against coronavirus, right? And there are people who already got infected and recovered from it. Now, both of these type of people, whether they got infected and recovered or they are getting vaccination, both are immune to the coronavirus, right? But the one who got infected and recovered, they have natural active immunity. And people like me or other people who have got the vaccine, you see the dosage of the vaccine, we have the active immunity, but our active immunity will be called as artificial active immunity. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Next question. An aid worker is asked to travel immediately to a region where a disaster has taken place. There is a high risk of her being exposed to pathogens that could cause serious diseases. Her doctor recommends that she have an injection of antibodies rather than a vaccination of weakened pathogens before she travels. Explain the reason for this. Now, while the doctor is telling her to get passive immunity, do not get active immunity. Why the doctor is advising passive immunity?
Sir, because passive immunity works
Sir, because
immediately when the
she's
pathogens are already there. But for active immunity, the body has to make antibodies against them, so it takes time.
Very good.
and
Because
also she's
the
an
you
aid
see,
worker,
because
so
when the antibodies will be injected in the body of the health worker, she will get immunity right away because antibodies they are entering into the body, right? So that is an immediate response. But
and
if the weakened pathogen is injected into the body, it will take time for the white blood cells, lymphocytes to recognize the pathogen, and again it will take time for the pathogens to produce antibodies and memory cells against it, right? So during this time she might become sick, might get the pathogen and become diseased, right? So it is better to get the emergency response by getting the antibodies injection rather than vaccination. All right, boys?
Yes, sir.
and sir,
So
we know
boys,
that an aid worker, so she's going to be um to the virus. So like for that, if we see on the active immunity charts, it says after 10 days it starts producing antibodies.
very
So
good.
yeah.
Yes, right? So it takes time. It takes at least, you see, even you see when nowadays you see they have the Saudi government, he has issued a new rule that those people can go for Umrah who has, you see, those people will get the you see permit for Umrah who has taken complete two doses of the vaccine, or those people who got one dose but they have taken the dose 15 days before, right, boys? So it, you see, why they are asking 15 days, you see, after the first dose of the 15 days, 15 days,
So
because
the
during,
antibodies are produced completely.
very good, because during that time the antibodies are produced in the body. Understood, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So that is the concept behind it. Okay, boys, any one of you have any question? We still have 2 minutes left. Inshallah, in the next
Sir,
class, we'll start practicing the worksheets and past papers
sir,
and revision as well. And boys, I will be asking questions as well. So there will be oral tests as well every day, inshallah. All right.
Okay, sir.
And we
sir,
will
what is the name
start.
of the milk?
Yes, yes. We'll
Oh,
start from breathing and respiration chapter. All right.
yes, sir.
So you see over the weekend, prepare breathing and respiration chapter. And remember, boys, every topic is very, very important. We have discussed questions in the end of chapter questions as well, right? All the topics they were discussed over there. The questions about all the topics were there. Any question, boys?
Yes, sir. So, what was the
Yes.
name of the milk that is like with antibodies when
Colostrum.
given to a baby? Colostrum.
Colostrum. Write down the spelling: CLOSTRUM.
C
CLOSTRUM.
yellow.
Colostrum.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, boys. See you guys, inshallah, in the next class. Have a happy weekend. Take care and Allah Hafiz.
Love is sir.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.
Allah Hafiz.